tune in if you want to hear. So we have Chad, Josh, Dmitri, and Marcus every Friday.
It's the Square Round Table.
Tune in.
It's the Square Round Table podcast. Let's have a blast. I know at work you had a long day. Just relax and tune in.
All right, welcome back, our freaks and geeks, to another review with Marcus and Dmitri, and now Chad. But usually it's us, but he's joining us today because he's watched the glorious and amazing One Piece live action. And look at him, he's thumbing himself. So we got this. We here. We're all cool. We cool in it. As new One Piece fans, can you tell me how you feeling about the live action? Were you liking it? What parts did you like? You did anything like you disliked or anything like that? What were your moments?
For me,
yeah. Go ahead, Marcus.
Yeah. I was just gonna say, yeah, my bad. I don't know why I wants to start doing this when we actually start recording. But yeah, I was just saying, for me, I came into it almost completely blind because I know nothing about One Piece. I know of it, but I don't know anything about it. Especially for a person I'm hip to anime, but it's a lot of anime that I haven't watched. I haven't read a lot of the mangas and stuff like that. So I'm coming in just as a regular fan, regular person just trying to watch a good show, which it was. So I enjoyed it because the story was good, characters were fleshed out. They made you care about the characters, even small background characters, the setup. I like how they didn't get a lot of known actors too. I think that always helps with certain stuff because it misdirects the attention of who's playing what and focuses more on the characters. The set pieces were great. The costumes were great. I understood why they had to put shoes on people. Some people who wore like the sandals because that physically can't work with an actor trying to do certain stuff in those type of shoes. So I think a lot of the choices they made, from what I've seen, because I've looked at a little bit of the comparisons, from like the anime and live action, and it's not too far off. I think they did a good job with staying true to the source. Also, I think everybody, as far as anime goes on from here, I don't think every anime should get a live action treatment, but if they do, I think they should study this and look at how they approached it and how they took their time with it and actually had a slow build up. Not slow as in, oh God, it's just dragging, but they give you time to spend with each little moment. Because I know it's probably, Demetrius, you probably know better than anybody. Like, it's probably like a couple of episodes from the anime, like probably crammed into each episode or certain moments.
Yeah.
But you, from somebody who never watched it, I couldn't tell. So that's another good thing about it. It doesn't feel like they're trying to put everything in one episode, even if it is. Like, you can't even really tell. But I'm sure some people out there that were butthurt about certain things. It's always gonna be those people that be like, "Oh, look at Luffy. The one line on his scar wasn't close enough to this one, so it's not accurate."
God.
It's always them people. Because I definitely, like, in comments and stuff, when I would look up stuff, I would see those type of people, and I was like, "Really, bro? Y'all really pointing out like the smallest detail that somebody forgot?" Or like with the black dude, what is it, Uso, Captain Uso? Is that his
Are you
name?
talking about Usopp?
Usopp. Yeah. I'm gonna let y'all know now. I'm probably gonna mess these names up because I'm still trying to get everybody's names right. But
It's okay. We
yeah,
welcome you in.
I seen somebody talking about, oh, I fixed the live action One Piece, and they went back in and gave him like the nose from the
I
anime.
hated that.
I'm like,
why
bro,
y'all gotta be stupid?
like, he doesn't need that. Like, it looks fine. Like, nobody in real life is proportionally like anybody in that show. Like, and I appreciate it. I saw somebody else say this, like one of those like comic book pages or something I follow. And they're glad that the live action dumbed down the over sexualization of the female characters in the show. And I was like, good, because it's live action. We don't need women running around in halter tops with their boobs out and stuff when they finna go and fight and all. It's a lot of things that they did right and that I appreciate it. As a person who's completely going into this blind and not knowing anything, that's what I have to say about it. I'll let y'all have the floor now because y'all the experts.
Yeah, I'm gonna mention about the just real quick, and I'll let you talk, Chad. I'm gonna mention the subtle changes that they did, where okay, like you said, the dumbing down the sexualization, but they dumbed down Sanji's character because in the anime and the manga, Sanji is a whole ass person that's like all over the girls and stuff like that, and he's swooning over them and stuff like that. And they still gave him that personality trait. Whatever, they just dumbed it down to be like real realistic, like where he was just like legitimate. Oh, hey, he was talking to the guy, then like he noticed Nami, and he was like, "Hey, you wanna da 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 da?" And he like gave her the whole run spiel and tried to give her like a secret menu kind of thing. Like
it was like smooth.
Or when Nojiko and he was like trying to hit on her and stuff like that. Like he was just like subtle, and I love that they toned down a little bit. They toned down the thing between Zoro and Sanji. They were just at each other's throat, but they weren't over the top about it. They were like say little quick jabs and stuff like that. I thought that was cool. But yeah, I'm gonna let Chad talk because he's in anime, but this is his chance to get into One Piece. It's been a battle between me and him and getting him in the show. So like getting him into it I was very excited that he loved the show and he wants to continue his journey, and that's what the live action was supposed to do.
Yeah, no, I agree wholeheartedly with that. So I come from a different viewpoint than Marcus because he was going into it totally blind. Now I want to preface this by saying that I never disliked One Piece. Never disliked.
Agreed.
I always thought it was cool. I watched that. That was one of the first anime that I watched, like when I was a kid, like back in the 4Kids days. You know what I'm saying? So that was like one of the first. Even though, like I said, huge shout out Erica Schroeder. You know what I'm saying? She killed it.
Yes.
That's the queen right there.
She crushed it.
But at the end of the day, I just never really got a chance to continue it because like after that I got off of anime and then got back into it like when I was like 25 or whatever. But all that aside, so I went into this, and it's funny, like when I watched it, when I saw it on Netflix, I was just like, okay, I'll give this a chance. And literally like immediately from the jump, I was like sold, completely sold for a couple of reasons. And my main reason is this. What sold me was the whimsical campiness of the show that they decided to hold on to. I'm so glad that they went in that direction, and they went in that direction in a few places. They went in that direction with the way the characters acted. They went in that direction with the color palette of the show. They went in that direction with the camera work. Me and Joshua were talking about how amazing the camera work is for that show because it's done in a way to where they have like very uncomfortable close-ups on the characters. They have tilted cameras. The camera is like really wild in that show. It's almost like a dreamlike. It puts you in like a dreamlike sort of state. And I feel like that really works for a show like One Piece. And I'm glad that they went there and they weren't afraid to go campy. It's a campy show, like it really is. But the problem with a lot of anime now, a problem with a lot of anime adaptations now that really ruin them is that, okay, they want to take the source material and use bits and pieces of it, but they want to take the campy aspect out of it. And just by design, if a cartoon is going to be a cartoon, because of the way it is, there's going to be some kind of campy elements in that. And taking that away when you do a live action representation of the show can take away from the heart of the show. And that's one thing that the live action, and that's one thing that the live action just didn't do. It did not take away from the heart of the show. Like Marcus, you made a good point by saying that they didn't choose like this actor to pull everybody in there. Hey, we got Tom Holland to play Luffy. Come watch this because Tom Holland's in it.
No, I don't need to see
I immediately would have been like, hell no.
It did, right? They didn't do that whole thing, but in like a good example of that would be with Death Note. Like they used Nat. They used Nat Wolf, and then they used my boy Lakeith Stanfield to get people into the movie. Even though Lakeith Stanfield, I stand on this, he killed it as L. I will stand on that.
You will stand 10 toes on that one.
Keith Stanfield, shout out my boy.
All right.
I will stand 10 toes on that one. Keith Stanfield did his thing as hell. The movie sucked because they shouldn't have got Nat Wolf to play a sadistic super genius when Nat Wolf is known for playing goofy, nerdy guys, goofy fish, all shucks type characters, and he played that same character as Light. Why would you do that? That makes no sense at all. When there are literally real life people that act like that. You know what I'm saying? That's not a fake representation of a person. You could have pulled that off on live action, but they chose to go another route, which was weird. But I go back to One Piece. That is totally not what One Piece did. One Piece took every character archetype and made that character, like you said, Demetrius, you said dumbed it down. They dumbed it down to more of a realistic representation of what that would look like. And I love the fact also that the characters in One Piece, the live action, are so diverse. I love Luffy. I love Luffy 100%. I love that they didn't. I love that they didn't make him try to lose his accent. You know what I'm saying? I love that they didn't make him straighten out his hair. I love my boy Captain Usopp. He's definitely quintessential. I love the blackness, quintessential blackness.
Oh no,
all the way
definitely.
Through. 100%.
Like when old boy was drinking the alcohol, and he was shooting at him. He was like, "Oh shit!" he just took off. I was like, "Yep." I was like, "That's what I would do."
Out of there.
And they made his dad cool as hell too, man. His dad was cool as hell.
His
like
dad
was,
and then he was with the pistols and stuff at the beginning. I was like, "Yo,
bro."
I was sold." Like Chad said, I was sold on the action, and the action sequences was shot great. Like people don't understand, to choreograph action sequences and shoot them is very tough. So to do it for anime, I know it was probably hard to adapt it in the live action because a lot of the moves they do are like over the top or it's moving real fast. So to make that transition in the live action, whoever like put all that together, the choreographer, whoever did all that, did a great job because it didn't feel like it was too fast. It didn't feel too slow. It didn't feel like things were out of place. Like everything worked. And I even like how like when they were fighting all the fishermen.
Arlong and his crew.
Yeah, and what's the one? Is it Sanji?
Who are you talking
with the suit?
The blonde
one? Sanji with the feet. He was kicking him. That's Sanji,
I think he did a fly kick, but it looked like it didn't look realistic, but still it was like
when he kicked the dude off that platform into the water or whatever.
But I wasn't upset about it. I was like, that's great. That's how it's supposed to look because it's whimsical. It's an anime. Of course, if they transition that in live action, it's gonna look like that. And I was like, cool. I'm fine with that. Like they didn't try to make it like Bruce Lee, Jackie Chan, martial arts and stuff like them calling out the name of the moves. I was glad they kept that in.
I wish they would have done that with Zoro, but like we can continue. Like Zoro was the only character they didn't do that with, and I was hoping that they give I was hoping we were gonna get a better callback to him like at the end doing like a move. Luffy was like he was like good, all great. He said he said something about action heroes or something like that. They named their attacks, and I was hoping it would come back around because like other characters kept doing it. Like Usopp did it, Sanji was doing it, but he even said to Zoro, all cool action heroes call out their moves. And I was hoping Zoro would eventually do it, but that's fine. Season 2 could have that, whatever. But I think still had those moments, and that's fine. I'm cool with it. But that's just a little tiny nitpick. But other than that, but I definitely like that we got, not to cut you off, we got the action pieces, and then we got battle act. I was happy about that last little battle axe move. That's what I wanted. I was like, give me that, and I'm sold. But continue your point. I cut you off. I'm sorry, Marcus.
And I was gonna say, I'm just saying this from totally coming from perspective of the average fan, the average viewer. I keep saying fan, but the average viewer. Fish people is black. Okay.
Oh yeah.
All of them
Yeah.
are
They're
brothers.
black. They're definitely
Well,
black.
no,
They're black.
it's understood that way.
Easily.
It's understood.
Like when
Everybody
he was talking
understood that.
about like the chains and being oppressed and stuff, I was like, they is black, bro. They went through the struggle. So I was like, even though they villains, I can relate to that group of people. And then when I looked up the guy who played, I was like, he's actually black.
Oh yeah.
And a lot of people was talking about they should have got some. I forgot what known actor they was talking about. They was drooling over to play him. I was like, no, it does. I think everybody
wouldn't have worked.
Perfect.
You got to get like fresh faces for this. That's what I like. That's like I like. And for just to cut this in real quick. For season 2, I think like Jamie Lee Curtis was like, she's like a fan of the show and she like wanted to be in the show and stuff like that. And I was like, I don't want that.
Yeah.
Because I like the idea that these are all fresh faces and they had to act these characters out, and that was what we saw. And we didn't like have to be like, oh, this is a well-known person. Of course they got to do this, that, the other, and they better have this stuff at this level. You can give some room for growth for these characters. Luffy's character, we can give him room for the next season 2 and be like, okay, he was good here. There's some parts he needs to work on. And season 2 comes back and he crushes it even better. Progress. Sorry to get you off.
Could I ask you this, Dmitri?
Yeah.
If they were to bring her in to play that character because she is a fan, would you be okay with it because she's a fan of the show and she would probably do it justice? Or do you think it's just too big of the star power that would distract people?
That's my whole this is the whole like kind of conversation I've been having is because I want someone who's a fan to be in this, obviously, right? But at the same time, she's got that star power about her, you know what I'm saying? And we might run into that whole, okay, Jamie Lee Curtis is in this season, so I'm gonna go watch it for specifically that and stuff like that. So it's a hard thing. I feel like if they do that, I won't be like, I'm not watching it, but then I'm gonna be like, I'm gonna expect a lot from her. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? You're gonna and it's a different level of like grace, because you can give like new actors grace. Like you can give the cast who did these things grace, and the only one that's I think mostly well known from other live action is like Zoro's character, his actor. But you can give them more grace about them not capturing it exactly right and coming back next season and bringing it back.
Mm-hmm.
I have a higher expectation of somebody who's been in the game for a minute. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's my line. I wouldn't be mad. It's not going to be something I'm going to be like, oh, I'm not watching it. But at the same time, I'm going to be like, I wish they would have gotten someone else. But I'm going to still watch it because it's One Piece. I'm still going to watch it. And if she crushed it, that's
an A+ for you.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah, like it is what it is. But yeah, that's something that I've been going back and forth since that was like revealed and stuff like that. And I'm glad she's a fan. Like more fans and more. And also, Marcus, you can say you're a fan, not saying a newcomer. You can say you're a fan of the thing. You're in the crew now. You're part of the
crew.
You're part of it. You got a straw hat, man. If you felt anything for Nami's backstory, you're part of the crew.
Hey,
you were here.
I wore the hell out of the straw hat too.
Hey man, get yourself one,
bro,
dude.
I rock that straw hat.
Oh, I got one. I already got one. You know me. But I think. Go ahead.
Trust me. I already know. I was just gonna say I was gonna weigh in on the Jamie Lee Curtis thing.
Okay, go ahead. Yeah, definitely. Give me your opinion. I really want to hear it.
As far as so as far as like Jamie Lee Curtis, I also think it depends on the type of actor you get to do the role. Like I'm not picking on Tom Holland, you know what I'm saying? But I always go back to Tom Holland just as a reference. I like Tom. Hey, Tom, you're my dude, bro. Hey, it's all good, bro. It's all good. But at the end of the day, man, let's just look at the type of actress that she is. She puts me in the mind of a Carl Urban. Carl Urban is a guy, like, he does have those big movies under his name, but at the same time, he's a great character actor. Like, he can lose himself in the role of whoever he's playing, and you don't look at it like, oh yeah, that's Carl Urban playing such and such. You're like, no, that's just that character. And Jamie Lee Curtis is the same way. You got to remember, Jamie Lee Curtis, she wasn't like this, you know what I'm saying, huge, ridiculous actress. She started off getting it out of the mud. She was a scream queen. You know what I'm saying? She was one of the first scream queens. Her mom is the first. and then after her is, you
Yeah.
know. So at the end of the day, Jamie Lee Curtis, she's for the hood. She's a hood classic. You know what I'm saying? So if anybody's gonna do it, it's got to be Jamie. I think that's the best
And
pick. If any, oh, go ahead.
Okay. Okay.
no,
Yeah.
I was
Good.
just gonna add to that too, Chad. And she knows how to have fun with her characters because I watched the interview of her recently talking about what she did for Freaky Friday, and
Mhm.
she said she just came in there and she totally just threw all of that acting, getting into the role out the window, and she said she just had fun with it, immersed herself in the character and got into it. And she said because it was something she took at the last minute. So I take it when I see stuff like that. That's why I asked you that because I was like with her, she probably would come into it and I'm gonna have fun with this, but I'm gonna stay true to it because I am a fan. But I'm definitely gonna have fun with it, and I think that's what separates her from a lot of other actresses when she does certain roles. Like when she was in Everything, Everywhere, All at Once.
Yeah.
That was a small role, and it wasn't like she wasn't in the movie that much, but she took it and she owned it and she made it. She made it. Remember that role. So I think she would do it justice. But I understand, Demetrius, what you're saying because you are a fan of this show. You have watched all of it, so you're more invested into it. So for us on the outside, it's yeah, of course it'd be good because it's Jamie Lee Curtis. You know what I'm saying? You just thinking, I just want it to be done right and for it to just
Exactly.
feel true, just like these characters. So you
Mhm.
just wanted the flow to keep going. So I understand,
Exactly. Yeah.
where you
So
coming from.
yeah, and after hearing your points, I'm open to it. Like I'm saying, I'm not. It's not like at the end of the day, it's not a if she's in it, I'm not watching it. It's more or less. Hopefully, it goes well. But if it's good, if I see her in a trailer and it's looking good, I'm putting the Netflix queue up and I'm into season 2. It don't
Yeah.
matter to me. Like I said, I always say it like this, especially with One Piece. In my opinion about live actions now is like the anime and the manga exist and they always going to exist. So if I don't like that, I'm gonna just slide back to the anime and rewatch those parts. But if I think I'll say it like this: if we have the same director, we have hopefully they get to keep the same director for season 1, season 2, and onward. And if we do, I feel like he'll direct it in a way that will help with making that transition from her being someone that's well known to being in this more or less because it's more or less it's a big role, but it's also a small role in the grand scheme of One Piece as a whole. Her role would be big for that character, but in the grand scheme, it's small. So the arc itself, it's a big role, but the overarching thing, you don't really see her as much after that role. So you could knock it out of the park, but I think maybe that would probably be if I don't know. Because I'm thinking about now other celebrities they could possibly get to fill other roles. Because I saw that people wanted what's his name, the guy that played Blue Beetle to be Luffy's brother, and I was like, I don't know. I'm open, but I don't know.
I think he didn't got too big now. He didn't got too big now.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I know his face. I don't want to see him in anything. And plus, he already got a show on Netflix, Cobra Kai. Like I don't need him. Nah, I don't need him on 3
Cobra Kai.
shows. Yeah.
I like him as an actor, but I don't know about that putting him in that because I would love to see who they would come up with for Ace as Luffy's brother. And I like one thing I did when Chad said is I love that they kept Luffy him with his accent. That because like, the crazy thing about what people who don't really know a lot about One Piece is that Luffy in real life would be Brazilian. He'd have that accent. That's what he would have.
Yeah.
And plus, he's pirates are scruffy, so of course he's got like the scruffy hair. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And the armpit hair and stuff like that. He had the
Yeah.
underarm hair and stuff like that. And I think the change from him wearing the shoes to when wearing the not sandals. Well, I guess not sandals, they're flip flops. To wearing like shoes, I barely noticed it.
You know what's funny?
Noticed it.
I didn't even notice. Bro, till you just said that. I didn't even notice.
Yeah, I noticed on the 4th episode. Only because I was like, oh, don't he wear flip flops? And I was like, but it don't hurt me because I know like from a technical, practical thing from just knowing film, I know why they did it because it worked. That's what works.
Yeah.
So that's why I noticed it, because I had my film cap on for a minute, and I was like, "Oh, okay, I get why they did that." But it wasn't something where I was like, "Oh my gosh,
Right. It
the
didn't break
costume is totally off now." No, like
and speaking of costumes, they committed to every single like villain's costume in this thing. Like
They really
everybody's
did.
costume was on
they
point.
did.
Even the
did.
ridiculous ones of those like cat dudes with the big guy with like even his thing, they committed. I
Yeah.
was like, dang, they committed to that.
Yeah.
And then also a lot of the One Piece, or not One Piece, a lot of the Straw Hats, their different outfits come from the source material. Like they're different panels of different things that they've been in, like for different, whether it's like an issue number, like a cover of a volume or whatever like that. So they came from those different things. So I was happy to see
Yeah.
different outfits for them. And because that is something that's essential for them eventually, like eventually down the line, they do get different outfits and different drip and stuff like that. But also, I like that they kept in Luffy not caring about people's names. Like when he called Buggy Boogie and stuff like that, I was like, good.
He was
Yeah.
tearing people's names up.
Nah.
He called him Boogie. That's
And
so funny.
you know what else worked with Luffy too? Is they really nailed his ability, like from what he got from eating the fruit.
Yeah,
They nailed it. They did really good with that. Like
They did really good.
It didn't take me out of it. Like it worked.
Because we talk about all the time how like stretchy abilities look horrible in live action. But I was so skeptical. I was like, "Ooh, I know." I'm loving it so far, but I know as soon as Luffy goes gum something and it looks completely CGI, I was like, but in that fight with the cat crew where he did the
thousand plans
where he did the headbutt, I was like, okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
I was
Bell.
like, okay, we here. Yep, Gum Bell. Yeah, I was
And
like,
I like
okay.
the bazooka. The bazooka was awesome. Like he did the hand vine. He's like,
No, the bazooka looked great.
The one that impressed me the most,
what's
and
that?
it was the most subtle one out of all of them, is when he went and did this.
Oh,
because it looks so good. Like
I
was like, wow, that looked really good. And it wasn't even him doing no fighting. It was just like the smallest thing. And when I seen that, I was like, okay, they gonna do it justice.
You know the funny thing, the thing that made me laugh, because I watched the live action at least 3 times because I wanted to grab it and make sure that I remembered everything. I liked how like when Kobe was like kind of not telling the dream, Luffy smacked the shit out of him and said, "Tell me your dream." I was like, "That's so freaking Luffy." Because
he smacked the fuck out of him.
He did. He smacked the shit out of him. He really did.
Smacked him and said, "Now tell me again." I was like, so fucking Luffy.
That dude, the dude who played Luffy, just for me not knowing like all the way how he is, because I've seen clips of One Piece, so I had a feel of what Luffy is like. And it's like, I was like, bro, this dude like really captured him so good. Like I was laughing my ass off at some of the stuff he did. And then like even the serious moments, like with him and Nami at the last episode.
Yeah.
Like, I was like, bro, like even though he's supposed to be like comedic, like when he had to be serious, I was like, yes. That's how you turn the switch on and off as an actor and know how to transition stuff and not just making it seem like, oh, I was funny, now I'm mad, or now I'm serious. It was like, no, he still had a little playfulness with it in his like personality, but it's just like any normal human being who's known to be a funny guy. But when they got to get down to business, it's okay. Because I care about my friends, I got to be there for them. So that's why I got to come in and show them that, no, I'm not joking right now. So they'll know that this is a time that we need to come together. And then when they like had that moment, when they all came together and stood,
let's go.
I was like,
crazy.
yeah.
That was crazy.
Like, yeah, man.
Yeah,
I was like, let's go.
I was way too hype. I was way too hype. Yeah.
I got up. I was like, yo, I was ready. I was like, where we going? And then one thing I think, I'm getting back to like their authenticity of this thing. Like, I love when like he smacked him Arlong in the face, and if he thought he was winning, and then like Arlong just grew more teeth in. That was so like
that was
a reference to the sword material, because like in the sword material he like rips his teeth, he like rips out his teeth and then grows them in again, and he does it. He keeps doing it to show Luffy, you can't get me. And Luffy's just, you still gonna get this work. That's the one thing I will say like they captured well, is the ability that Luffy's just gonna get the win. Like he's going to get that win round 2, we gonna keep fighting until I get what was going on.
Yeah.
The one thing, go ahead.
No, I was just saying I definitely mess with the abilities, and that's like I was
Oh,
saying,
yeah, all the
like I
double
was saying before. Of course, having like stretch powers are silly, but when you do it like that and you have an awareness of the silliness of it, but at the same time you know how to mold it into something to make it practical where you can use it in different ways and not just stretching to wrap around people and stuff like that,
Mhm.
it gives it some weight. And that's why I said that's how you do it. And I'm not even gonna go on to other things that don't do it right. You get my drift.
Yeah, I know what the comparison you make, and I will make the comparison. Marvel has Mr. Fantastic, and Mr. Fantastic has similar powers to Luffy. But the thing that makes Luffy work is they don't make it serious. They let you, it's goofy, it's silly, this power is this way, and it works to where eventually you're like, damn, that's a cool ass power, because they allow their brain to come up with ways of him to use it in combat.
Mm-hmm.
And the one thing I liked about live action and also the story is like the creative mind of the devil fruit ability. Like the chop fruit, it's broken as crap. It's really broken.
Oh yeah.
It's,
Yeah.
yeah.
I got a question though, D.
What's
So
that?
can Luffy not swim?
Yeah, the one thing, the trademark of eating a devil fruit is you lose your ability to swim. So that's why he was getting rescued and stuff like that's why a lot of the characters, that's why Buggy put him in a container of water because he knew he couldn't swim, he would drown.
Gotcha. That
So
makes sense.
and one thing I do is that they made like characters like Nami fight sooner than they would.
Mm-hmm.
You know, she wasn't technically supposed to really be with him in Arlong Park until like towards the end of it, where he was like, where like he said, Nami, we're friends. That's when she showed up because she's okay. Where's Luffy? Luffy's knocking buildings up and blowing stuff up, but I like that they like made her have action moments, like when she was with Buggy, when she like threw the staff, and I will say one thing. I loved how they like every character was dedicated to learning. Like Sanji learned the actor who played Sanji learned to cook, and he learned how to do the kicking. He learned kickboxing. Zoro was just like he learned how to do all the swords, and I was surprised like how good the three sword style looked. Like when he put the sword in his mouth,
looked good.
I was skeptical of that. I didn't think it was going to look good. Yeah,
but it did.
Mihawk, can we just talk about goats of the live action
show?
Hey
man, when dude took the pendant off and he had the little knife, I was like, he is not about to fight him with no little dagger, and he whooped his ass.
Mihawk is a goat, man. Mihawk is a true man.
Then he told him after he whooped his ass, "Hey, I'm not gonna kill you because I want you to go get better, so I can have more of a challenge next time I fight."
Exactly.
You. Like I'm gonna just embarrass you a little bit and let you live, but I'm gonna give you a Buddha. Remember, I'm gonna cut you across the chest.
I'm gonna cut you up. I'm gonna give you a little cut, so you know who let you live. And then
just come on back later and duke it out with me.
Exactly. And then he talked, and then like when Garp told him, "Oh, you're supposed to go get Luffy," he was like, "I didn't want to, so I'm not going to." And Garp just chilled. Instead of them getting in a fight, I was like, "Dang, that's how you show. That's how you show power. That's how you show power. You don't have to like too much show it like them fighting. You just give this back and forth where they look like they're on equal footing, or like it's at least going to be a big fight if they actually fought. And that's how you do that like level of gauging strength. Like Shanks is a goat, and he doesn't do nothing. He barely does anything. And he got the hand. He doesn't have the hand. He has the hand.
Ow. Hey, you stupid. Nah, but it's. I'll say this. Watching this was so refreshing because of we talk about it all the time, just outside of the podcast. The fatigue from like superhero stuff, it felt so good to watch a genuinely good, fresh, original. Even though it's adapted from something, it still felt almost like this. Almost felt like some original. You know what I'm saying? The way it was played out, and it was just a good a sigh of relief. It's not the same formula. We don't have to follow this. It's good writing. Everything's not so serious and stuff like this. And that's how it's supposed to be. Like this is what the Marvel shows fail to do. Stuff like this. And it's sad because You have the material and you don't want to follow it. This is
Right.
what it looks like when you follow the source material. It's not hard. And it's crazy because they've done it with something that's known to fail a lot. Animation in the live action. Marvel, all they gotta do is take some from literal pages. That's it's not anything that you see in animation. It's from pages in a book, so you can transition that better. And they don't know how to do it because they don't want to stick the source material. They want to change stuff. They want to say we don't want comic book writers, people who like comic books to work on stuff and blah blah blah, and they don't stay in contact with these people who wrote the characters and originally came up with the ideas. And just like you said, Dimitri, they stayed in contact with the original creator of the manga.
Exactly.
That's how you keep the originality of the show, but with a little bringing in a little bit of freshness to it, just to spice it up a little bit for people like me who don't know anything about it.
Exactly.
That's how you work it. That's how you keep everything and you keep the train going. And it's obvious that it works because look at the one they just did with Cowboy Bebop. It didn't come back for another season, but look how they did this one, and it's coming back. So it can be done. You just have to make the right decisions and plays, and you have to respect the craft, and then you just at the end of the day you gotta respect the fandom, man. Like a lot of it, like recently, a lot of this stuff is not respecting the fandom of it, and we are the people that gave it life, and the reason that it can be in live action because we put our hard earned money into it, our time, our dedication. We've grown it into this thing to where it could be an IP and you can put it out there like that. So you have to give us something. Like we know we're not gonna make no money off of this stuff, but give us something to enjoy and be happy about. That's all it is. And that's what I feel like this show accomplished. And I didn't even watch the anime. But I'm saying that's just how good it is. If I'm saying this about a show I've never watched, that should tell you something.
And that's the whole point of the show. And like Oda came out and he was like, I want to give a one last chance for people who have never seen one anime, but have never watched One Piece and get them into it. And he did that. I've heard and seen plenty of people that are like, oh, now I'm giving One Piece a chance. Now I want to watch it. Now I'm starting to binge the show. And they said, and that's exactly what I'm like, great. That's what I want. I want people to enjoy this great story, and Oda does too. And it's a live action depiction that you can just enjoy. You don't have to like they did cut out some things and they cut out a couple of things, but it made sense what they cut out. Like they cut out a villain arc, and I was like, yeah, that makes sense to cut out this one instead of this one because this one's tied to the boat. This one's not. You can still get these elements, he did still show up. He just didn't have a bigger part. But I love that they kept the snails in. The snails was like
that was dope.
The snails was cool. I
like the AirPod snail.
The Bluetooth one and the speaker. I love the speaker snail. The speaker snail was dope.
Yeah,
and how gross they look. They look so gross, but I love them.
Yeah, they look crazy.
And the news coos, like the news seagulls, like they kept them in.
I love that. Like the one thing I'll say is, and it's piggybacking off of what you and Marcus just said, like a good like anecdote to let you know how good the show was. I sat and watched this show with my 60-year-old father. And he watched the second to the last episode. He didn't watch the whole thing through. He watched second to last episode and he got it just like that. He knew exactly what was going on. He's so the shark guys, that's the Black Plight right there. They're upset because they've been getting mistreated. And this dude, and he understood the whole thing with Luffy and blah, 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 and enjoyed the show, just really got it. And that in itself is what a lot of these creators out here, and talking to people from Marvel, talking to people from DC, talking to anybody really who just wants to make an anime property into a live action, make the show the way it was intended to be watched. Make the show the way it was intended to be watched. And I'll say that one more time. Make the show the way it was intended to be watched. Because look, if you do that, what people don't understand is when I watch a show, when I watch a movie, when I watch a play, when I watch whatever, my suspension of belief is tailored to what you're showing me. You don't have to sit there. You don't have to sit there and explain to me and give me ass loads of exposition to catch me up to what you want me to know. You don't have to take the magical elements out of the show and drown it in reality for me to understand it. No. Once again, make the show the way it was intended to be shown, and I will follow you. I will follow where you want to go. And my suspension of belief, you just make the product, you put it out there, and my suspension of belief will take me the rest of the way. And I'll just enjoy it. And that is exactly what One Piece did. One Piece is the goofiest, craziest, wildest anime I've ever seen. You couldn't tell me that this would be the anime. This one right here will be the one that broke the curse of live action anime. You couldn't have made me believe that. But it did. Yeah. And the reason why it did is because this was, like the creator, like Oda said, this was pretty much a love letter to the original series, and its purpose is to get newcomers to enjoy the world of One Piece. And that's what it did. And I'm on board 100%.
And like I told Dmitri, I love like the idea of pirates. I just think it's like a pastime it was short lived, but it was like cool as hell to have existed for that time. It was like the thing that was cool before we got the outlaws of the Wild West and all that. So I was already sold, because at first, when I was like, before I knew what it was and I would just see stuff, I never knew it was about pirates until I got older and I actually saw clips and stuff. I was like, oh, this might be good, but I just never got around to it. But the fact that it was pirates, I was like, okay, I'm gonna definitely watch the live action, because I want to see how they do it, like how the whole pirate thing works, and like how they break it down. And I like how each set of pirates, like their crew or whatever, is like different in their own way, and they have like their own like craziness to it, and it's some are wacky, some are like more serious. Some are like with the what's the little police force? What they call them?
The Marines.
The Marines. Like how they ship looks like it's more polished and clean. I like how like everything is different. It's not because when you think of pirates, most ships look identical, but it's like a few changes. I like how every ship has its own personality, and it fits like the personality of the captain. So I thought that was cool, because that separates it from being a serious like and not like they're not talking like that. Like you said, Chad, like it's so diverse. Like you got people in there with different accents, ethnicities, backgrounds. It's everywhere, and it works because that's the world that it is, and that's what most animes are diverse, because they just have all kind of crazy looking characters in there, but it works. So that's what I enjoy. I was gonna like it. I knew I was gonna like it from the get go, because it was about pirates, and like me and Dmitri were talking about before the podcast, I love Assassin's Creed Black Flag. So I was like, hey, I know it's not that, but I like that idea of that story, because that's like a lost pastime in world history in a way. So I think definitely. It's cool that the way they did it. It stayed true to what a pirate does, but it shows you a different outlook on pirates and the wackiness that they brought to it. It worked. I really enjoyed that.
Let me ask y'all a question. Which villain did you like the most, and which one did you like the least out of what you were shown? It doesn't mean that they're bad, but then like they're just worse. It's just which one was like your favorite, and which one is like, you're like, oh, they're cool, but they're not your favorites.
You know who mine gonna be, Demetrius.
Okay.
I'm gonna choose the brother, because he black. I'm going with Arlo, man. He your brother. I gotta stick with my people, man. Chris, he just out here trying to make a dollar. Yeah, he enslaved a little girl to make her draw maps, but hey, it's a pirate life. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But nah, I don't condone enslaving kids to draw maps, by the way.
Like, I don't condone.
We don't condone that.
No, I'm not. The slaving thing now.
That at all.
He just went about it the wrong way. That's all.
But as a villain, that was like, that's why I liked him as a villain, because he was like sinister as hell. But it was like, hey, I'm just trying to look out for my folks, because ain't nobody else gonna do it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But the least, It's not even because it was bad, but because I just didn't like him because I
Oh,
knew he was bad. That pompous acting uppity mother. You know what?
the butler.
Yes.
Yeah,
Oh my
Kuro,
goodness.
Kuro
I was
with
waiting for
the
them to
claw.
kill him. Bro, I was waiting for them to knock him off because I was like, bruh, he just being an ass for no reason, bruh. I was like, dude, just end him right now. Then he killed the guy that was the dude.
Harry. Here's the crazy part
Yeah.
about it. In the anime and the manga, they don't kill him off. So this is like a live action exclusive thing. They don't kill him off in the what's the
Oh
name.
wow. So
Yeah, that's why when I
interesting.
saw that, I was like, "Oh, we're killing people off." Okay,
Yeah.
I was just like, "We're doing something
I
different."
was
But
like,
yeah,
I was like, man, off him, man, because But that's the thing, like when you said what's your least favorite, like you said,
Mhm.
even if it's good or bad, it wasn't like the portrayal wasn't bad. It was great. And that's why I say that because that's good acting. It made me
yeah.
not like him. I wasn't like,
Mhm.
hey, I'm intrigued by him. I like his kid. I was like, nah, get this dude out of here because he didn't got on my nerves already.
Did you like the horror kind of aspect they added to that?
Yes,
They added to
yes,
his arc.
yes. Yes, I did, and I liked how they
Mhm.
played on that idea of Victorian castles, and they made
Hmm.
how they made like a mansion. Certain parts of it looked like what would be like Dracula in
Yeah,
a deserted castle, but then it was still like rich, nice looking things and all that. I like the duality of that. That was cool. So that, like I said, it's great set decoration
for
and all
sure.
that
Mhm.
stuff. Yeah. I gotta give a shout out to my peoples that do all that stuff because I worked with them. That's some hard work right there to pull off, especially for
Mhm.
something like that. I know they had to go through some stuff to get that looking the way it did. But yeah, those were my two.
How about you, Chad?
So I'll start off with my worst, my least favorite. So my least favorite was Kuro. He was
Okay.
definitely my least favorite. But
Yeah.
what I will say about that tiny arc, it was, even though it was he wasn't my favorite, simply because there was just so many. I really do like him as a character, and even when I watched the animated series, I loved his design. And when I was younger, no, literally when I was younger, like I would literally do that all the time
Oh,
just because he did it. I thought this shit was so cool. So to see it in live action was like, yo, that's crazy. And
the
I love. Oh, go ahead. What were you gonna
the
say?
attention. I'm gonna get on his character before we get off him. Like the fact that he did this was like a hint to his like claw hand thing. That was like
Yes.
when he did this was a hint to that the fact that he can't do this because he had the claw. He's so used to having like claw hands, which is so freaking
Yes.
cool. But yeah, continue. I'm sorry, I had to just wanted to put that
Oh
point
no,
in there before we
no,
left
you're
him.
good, and that's exactly what I meant. That's great attention to detail. And then I watched it when I was a kid, but I didn't really remember what happened. So, like you said, the horror aspect of it, I really like that. The twist actually caught me off guard because I didn't catch it. Because I thought that old girl was like terminally ill. I didn't think that she was being poisoned. And I saw the blue drink, the blue tea she was drinking, and I didn't catch it until I saw the big bowl. And Luffy was like, "Oh, I'm about to eat this," and I think
It's
I was
great,
watching it with,
yeah.
and I was watching it with Peyton, and Peyton was like, "Bro, you about to get sick." I was like, "Oh shit, right? They've been poisoning this girl
Slowly,
the
now
whole
that's
this."
some evil, sinister shit right there. You slowly poison
Yes,
somebody, but you're not gonna kill them because you need them around to
yes,
use them. That's what
yes.
evil
Yeah,
is. That's
That's
evil as
some
yeah,
hell.
that's
that's
a
some
crazy
evil shit.
villain.
That's some evil shit. But no, but so even though I would say he was my least favorite, he was still lit. He was still lit. And once again, I love the fact because he's one of the zanier design characters on the show. So I love the fact that they didn't pull back on his zaniness because of the live action. He still had
Yeah,
every single aspect down to the big claw hands that he had in the anime. So I love that about him. But of course, y'all already know my favorite is Buggy. You already
yeah,
know
Oh
we
I'm a
yeah.
already knew
huge
that.
Oh
We
yeah.
knew it.
I'm a huge Buggy fan because I fell in love with Buggy immediately from the anime because number one, his design is the shit.
It
And
really is.
yeah, and then like the chop like powers is just insane to me. Like the first time I saw that, I lost my mind. I
Yeah,
was
that
like,
was
bro, this
cool.
dude, yeah, I was like, bro, this dude is sick. So I honestly, that was the biggest thing I was anticipating when the anime came out. I was like, bruh, I hope they do my boy Buggy. And the
Yeah.
actor that portrayed Buggy,
He was
down
good.
to his man, down to his personality, down to the big top set pieces. I love how they had the people from the village chained up inside and was making them applause and laugh and stuff like that. I was just like, yo, this is what I'm talking about. Like they did it perfectly. His comedy was on point, because when you do, and that's just also we'll talk about that in a different podcast, but I really have a problem with like killer clowns, how they're portrayed in media. Like that, the way they portray Buggy is the quintessential way to portray an evil clown. He's got to be funny. He's got to be funny. If he's not funny, if the clown isn't funny, or it doesn't sell, exactly. So the fact that he was still like, oh, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, don't paint them in clown face makeup and make them like mass murderers like that. I don't want to be scared. Like I get what they do is bad, but don't completely make me like shit my pants.
Like you gotta tell me the idea that someone can be tricked by this guy. You know what I mean?
Thank you. And because that's the whole point. Exactly. That's the whole point. Like he gets you because he's funny and he's wearing the makeup and stuff like that, but he's a piece of shit for real. Like he even tricked the crew. He even tricked the Straw Hats. They were just, they thought he was cool and shit. And he's like, yeah, guys, come on, man. It's all good. Just let me out the bag. And my man said, nope. I was like, oh, shit.
I was like, yeah.
He was like,
I was like, I like this.
I'm out.
I was like, I like this.
Damn. And let me shout out that I love the fact that the writers knew what they were doing with Buggy and Nami. Buggy even called out the fact that Nami had the cakes. Like that was hilarious, bro. That was hilarious. But but nah, perfect. The actor that portrayed Buggy, perfect portrayal. So yeah, that's mine right there.
Yeah, it's a really, because they cut him out, I guess they really can't use him, but it's really a tie really between Don and Craig, and what's the name, Kuro, as the worst of them. And it's not because they're both they're bad. Like the design of Don Craig, as you saw a little bit, if he had like guns in his, what's the name, he's got like a weapon armor, and his suit is, his gold suit is supposed to be the suit that like he bragged about how indestructible it is in the source material. And so it's like this, it's like Luffy just trying to showing that he can break his stuff, and that's the battle. And him getting through all his like his little mechanical, as I call him, he's like Iron Man. He has all these like gadgets in his suit or whatever like that. But he's, in the grand scheme of One Piece as a whole, as villains, he's a forgettable villain. Like he's very forgettable. And like when you go back, and I remember him because I remember a lot of the villains, but in a lot of people's memory, they don't really mention him in the talks of the early One Piece. They talk about Kuro because he's a butler who's a piece of shit. He's a piece of shit ass butler, but he's got those claws. He's got those, what's the names? But like I said, I don't dislike Kuro either. He's just like the more weaker out of the set piece. You got Buggy. He has to contend with Buggy, Arlong, and even Axeham Morgan is.
I was about to say Axeham. Yeah, I love
Axeham Morgan is so ridiculous. He had like axes on his wall that he had to switch out. I was like, this is so ridiculous. He's got the chin, the little metal chin thing, and we're gonna have to talk about Kobe a little bit and Hinepo, but like so my favorite is between Buggy and Arlong. Arlong because he was a big bad of the whole entire arcs. He was a bigger dude. Like when you got to Arlong, I knew it was gonna be a fight. Buggy, there was a fight there, but it was more of a trick and illusion kind of thing. Like you had different ways. He used the chopped out fruit to trick you into getting you in those setups. And all the other ones kind of used tricks, but like Arlong, he didn't need none of that. He was like, I'm just Arlong. I'm a fish man. I don't need no tricks. I'm gonna just beat your ass. That was what it was.
I'm gonna give you these hands. You broke my sword. Oh, I'm finna give you these hands then.
Hey, so like it was exactly. So it was really cool. And not to spoil anything, but when you find out his backstory, you understand him a lot more. Like you get where he comes from. You understand where he went wrong, where his thought process went wrong, and you see the path.
Demetrius, without you even giving it away, I already know. Like I said, he a brother. So I know he went through some hard shit. I know he wasn't always like that, because that's what happens to most of us. Something happens to us and it just makes us go, hey man, fuck the world.
Exactly. So listen, when you guys get to that, I don't know if you're gonna pick it up, Marcus, but I know Chad's gonna pick it up. When you get to that point, definitely we can talk about it in more detail. But
yeah,
you understand him later on, and that's one of the things that with a lot of One Piece villains later on is you understand where they went wrong. You understand that people in the community, they go, okay, I need to see the backstory before I can judge this character 100%. What he's doing wrong is bad right now, but why is he doing it? What is his motivation? What is this thing? Before I can go, okay, I don't like him because he's a villain, or okay, I get where he's coming from. He went the wrong path. He strayed away from the path, or whatever the reason is. But to get on the Marines, because we got to talk about the Marines a little bit at the very least, because the Marines, there was good Marines and there was bad Marines. You had your Axe Hand Morgan type characters who were straight bad Marines. They were like, he didn't have to do all that to Zoro. He didn't have to do that to Zoro. Brought him, Zoro brought him number 7's head, which, by the way, they did not mention Baroque Works until right before that arc came. So we got we got some like Zoro's like introduction is live action only. That didn't happen in the manga or the anime. Like him fighting that character, we only heard later on in that arc when what happened. But I like that Zoro is the reason why Nepal had that haircut. I love that.
I love
that he came in there and gave the man I'm gonna call it the bowl cut. The bowl cut.
Yeah.
And I like what they did with Kobe's character and how Garp took him under his wing and like he was like, hey, here the reason why I didn't become a higher up is because I had to play by their rules. I can't have my sense of justice. And I love that. I love that he taught Kobe how to be a good Marine, because he allowed him to think for himself. He's like, okay, Luffy. Luffy wouldn't think that way. Luffy's this way. He's a pirate, but he's one of the good ones. And he stood up to him in the end, which was really cool. So I like that, and I like the relationship that it had between Luffy and Kobe. I liked how they were friends, but on opposite sides of the law.
Yeah.
Which is cool, and I like the straw hat scene where Shanks gives him the straw hat.
Yeah.
Like that scene's so good. That scene's so precious. I love the young actors who played
the young actor. Yes, they did good. They did so
all
good.
of them did good.
Yeah.
They did so good. Their backstories were like they didn't take any liberties of changing any of them. Like I was surprised they did the Sanji thing because the anime. They chickened out and they didn't give us that.
Oh, you talking about with the leg?
Yeah, when he cut off his leg.
That's crazy. That was crazy.
That was a good ass scene. I was hoping that they would do justice
really
because, like, Sanji was ready to take him off the board before he found out he cut his leg off.
I'm telling you.
No, for real.
I'm telling you, he was gonna come at him, boy. I was like, dang, my dude, you don't see how
he was hungry
over there looking.
He was hungry. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, but the thing, like speaking on the Sanji thing, the thing that, and this is coming from a person that has limited access to the lore of One Piece. Like I saw it up to a point, so obviously a lot of the stuff during the movie was brand new to me.
Mm-hmm.
But like using, like you said, the Arlong and the thing with Sanji to get who they are as characters, because you think about it, Sanji was only in the last 2 episodes. And same with Arlong. And the thing I think was so crazy with that show is in that limited time span, we got so much unspoken character work for these guys. It was crazy. Like when you meet Sanji and Zeph, you're just like, okay, Sanji's a shit employee when he doesn't listen. So why hasn't Zeph fired my man yet? What's going on? And then in less than an hour later, you're like, oh, Zeph's his dad. It's just his father figure. So that's their relationship. And my gosh, bro, I don't care how much of a thug you say you are. When my man Sanji was like going away on the boat and looking back at Zeph and crying, bro, that touched my heart so much. Bro. I was like, "Oh my gosh!"
They had a lot of heartwarming moments. Like, what's my boy, the black guy?
Got to tell me one
more time. Usopp, the one with him and his mom when he was a kid. I was like, "Get back in there! Get back in there!" I was like, "You better get back in there."
I'm telling you, bro. I'm telling you, and even with Arlong too, same thing. What were you about to say, dude?
I was gonna say on the fun thing before you like leave it. I think he said keep your feet dry, and I was like, don't you do that?
Yeah.
Don't you do that? When he said keep your feet dry,
I was like, man, I was like, yo, that they did, and you know what? I'll call back to a show that did that very well. It was Dimitri's gonna know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Remember,
yeah.
Andor did that really
Andor
good,
did
like
that.
when it showed flashbacks. And I think that's the best way to do flashbacks. Instead of dedicating a whole episode to a flashback of a character's arc, you do it like that, and you sequences where it matches up to what's going on, and it's like, because that's what a flashback would be like if you're in, like how we all talking right now. But if I say, man, when I was like 5, I scraped my knee, and then I pause, and then it'll flash, and then it should come right back, because that's like a moment that happened like this, and then it'll come right back.
Yeah.
And even the stuff that kind of was more to it, they didn't just keep you there for a long time, because when you do that, sometimes it'll take you out of the story, because, oh, are we in a full flashback? Are we back at this moment? It's no, this is what's going on in their mind at that moment. And they're pondering on what happened to them back in their past, because what's happening to them right now is reminding them of that, and it's putting you in that place to know where the character's mind state is, and to be like, okay, it triggered this, and that's why they remember this, and that's why they're like this, and that's why, like you said, Chad, like, why hasn't he fired him yet? Oh, that's why. It helps.
Yeah.
It helps you. They ain't trying to Christopher Nolan us, okay?
Nah.
They helping us out a little bit.
No, they are. They definitely are. I was just agreeing. Go ahead, bro.
Oh, I'm sorry. And I like that one thing they did is they kept the chore boy, like Luffy, becoming like paying off his debt.
Yeah.
Like Luffy was so funny because he was like he wrote him an IOU to the Pirate King and stuff like that, because eventually he's gonna be the Pirate King. And he was like, that's one. He's like, who the is Luffy? And he came put him a chore for a year, and then like at the end of the series, he put his bounty thing on at the Employee of the Month part. I thought that was so cool. But that shit was cool. So funny. He was like, cool. I owe you to the Pirate King. He was like, I will pay you. He's like, I've already decided I'm gonna pay you already, but I just don't have the funds for it. And I was like, oh my god. Yeah, like, I'm gonna be king of the pirates.
That was good, man. I enjoyed. I really enjoyed it. I hate it had to end, but I'm glad I'm getting more, and I'm glad I have an opportunity to go watch it, because I know it's a lot of episodes, but I can go watch a little bit of it and know what's going on, and I won't be totally out of it. It made me care enough to want to watch a little bit of the episode, like the anime. That's why I appreciate it. It totally got me invested in these characters, because they have so much personality, man. I love it, dude.
They do.
Yeah, they really do, and that's what the live action films do. It's like we always say, like with Marvel and stuff like that. Comics that should go into the movie should go back into the comics. That's cycle. And it did exactly what it's supposed to do. Live action went to the manga or anime, back into the live action. It cycled.
Yeah. And the fact that, like, when I hear you say stuff like the outfits, him chopping his leg off, because I'm like, okay, see, that's what it's supposed to be about. Somebody who's a fan is supposed to be able to reference those small little things that for the average person wouldn't be like, I wouldn't get it because I don't know. So I'm just like, oh, that's cool. And then I was thinking the whole time, I was like, oh, that's cool how they switching outfits. Like, they ain't making them wear the same clothes, because, you know, that's just nasty at the end of the day. If somebody, hey, let's switch it up. I like that. It's a lot of small things that matter. It's the small things that matter. As much as people don't realize it. Just with me and Demetrius right now watching Ahsoka, it's so many small things that we appreciate so much that sells it at the end of the day. And that's all we ask for as fans, man. We don't want much. We don't want much.
Just give us some nods to the source material, show that you have an appreciation for it. And the thing is, they did so much research for this series. Like they looked at the SBSs, which are Oda's like questions and answer things. So like people ask Oda questions and he answers them. And they looked at that as research for the live action. They were like, okay, Luffy likes these foods, Sanji likes these foods, Zoro likes, and they used that when Luffy was like, "Can you make rice balls with alcohol in them?" Because those are Zoro's favorite foods, because he loves to drink and he loves rice balls. As you saw when in that scene where he picked up the rice ball that the girl that Apple stepped on, he ate it and said, "Now your turn." That was a reference to him being strung up, and the rice ball falling and what's him stepping on it. It's like in the live action, and him asking the girl to give it to him. and him saying it was delicious. And Luffy saw that, and that's why he was like, I want that dude. He already wanted him, but he was like, now he has to join.
Yeah, I gotta have him. Yeah.
Like, I gotta have him. And then I love that Luffy, when he untied Zoro off the what's the name, and Zoro's like, I'm not gonna join your crew. He's like, I don't care. I just think it's a way for you to be right here. Like, I think you should go and be free wherever you're dreaming.
And that's what I like about Luffy. Even if he wants somebody to like join him, he doesn't like force it down their throat. Oh man, you gotta join me because this and that. It's just like, if you don't want to call, okay, but I'm gonna go finish what I gotta do. Have a good day. I hope you enjoy whatever you're doing. I'm gonna go do my thing.
So and he's such a bad. Go ahead. He's such a bad liar. Luffy is such a bad liar.
He
was so bad when he was talking to Akpan and he was like trying to be convincing with Nami and shit. He was such a bad liar, and that's so true to his character. He can't lie for anything. He'll look away in the anime because he can't give people eye contact because they'll know he's lying. And so I like that they had those subtle, small things that they did for his character that obviously fans will know, but people will pick up on as well. Yeah. And for once, when he was like on the boat picking his nose, Luffy does that all the time. He picks his nose and he flicks it at people. Even people he doesn't like, he'll just flick it at you.
I love it, man. I really enjoyed this. I can't wait to see the second season of it. I even want to read a little bit of the manga because I've always been. That's my thing because I love to read anyway. I've always been a fan of reading mangas, even if I don't too much watch like the anime. Because it's so much that the manga has that you can't transition into the anime. So, like with Dragon Ball Z, I love the Cell Game saga, but I bought the mangas because the mangas are way better, like as far as the action and stuff with it. So I was like, it's that duality. But I think I even want to buy like the first manga just to read it and see, how the story goes. So like, I'm a little invested now. I'm gonna get, I might gotta go get me a T-shirt now. You know what I'm saying? I gotta get me a straw hat. Momo come next year. I might have to be Luffy. You know what I'm saying? Hey,
man.
I might gotta get in the gym a little bit so I can show my Luffy.
Nah, yeah, but I know Chad's gonna be binging. She's gonna be an addict. She's gonna be a One Piece addict eventually, because that's just what happens. Once you get into One Piece, it becomes a part of your life. It's your lifestyle, and I'm not saying it in a bad way, but you get so much good story, world building. I love One Piece for its world building. The world building in One Piece, I cannot match with anything else because he takes his time to set up the entire world. That's what the first season did, is set up the world. That was what the first 12 volumes were supposed to do. That's why I tell anybody who gets into One Piece, get past Arlong Park. If you don't like it, then you're good. It's fine. Because after Arlong Park is when Oda really flexes his more of his creativity and gets into actually giving us into different arcs. But he has to set up the world first, and that's what the first also give us some crew members, but he sets up the world.
I've noticed that about a lot of anime creators. They really have studied the hero's journey and world building, because they take their time. That's why a lot of animes probably start off a little slow, because they're taking their time to set up the world. Once you get immersed in it and you get deep into it, all of that stuff has already been explained to you, and you know what's going on and what the gist of it is, so you can focus on the journey of the hero. I know I keep referencing Dragon Ball Z, but that's the most common one that I can go back to.
Oh, yeah.
With Dragon Ball, it's slow, but it's building that world up. So when we got to Dragon Ball Z, it was like, okay, we know what's going on already, but now we know this is what Goku is. This is what race he comes from. We already knew where the world was when Goku was coming out of Dragon Ball. So I've noticed that with a lot of anime, even I know people probably won't claim it an anime, but I do. It's American. Like Pokemon.
Pokemon's an anime, so nobody's gonna question on that one.
Okay, cool. So all that stuff, it built Pokemon. It built the world. The first couple of episodes, it was slow, but look to where it got to in the end. And for me, just our fans out there, for me, the end is the end of the Indigo, because that's why
first 151, boy. First 151.
That's why I stopped. So I know a lot of you all are gonna be like, no, the end is when Ash. I know what happened, but I'm just telling you what the end was for me.
Man,
So
we have to have a whole podcast where Marcus reacts to Pokemon, like the newer ones, because
I'm telling.
I remember he got a little taste of it. He was
I'm
so
like the
mad.
old uncle. I'm like the old uncle. What is this? What are you showing me? But nah, as a storyteller, as a writer, as a person who understands world building, I really appreciate this as from a storytelling point of view, and that's why I've always loved anime. Period. Even if I don't watch all the seasons or the episodes, I just love the way it unfolds in the story. Like they get you into that world. So that's what I've always appreciated about anime. Period. So that's to give you guys my take from the outside on anime. You know why I love it.
Great perspective.
No, agreed. And from my perspective, as a person that dabbled and dabbled with anime and got into it, like I said, in my mid-20s, I agree with Marcus, and I agree with what Dmitri said about Oda and the storytelling that they do and that kind of world building. One of the best examples, since you gave an example, Marcus, one of my best examples I can give for that building thing is when I watched My Hero Academia. So when I got into My Hero My Hero, I didn't like it. I was just like, I know where this story's going. It's okay. Everybody has powers. I'm the kid with no powers. But maybe suddenly later on down the road, I'll figure out that I have this power that I didn't know about. That's how I thought the story was going to go. And then you got this kid, he meets his hero, and the hero's an asshole. And he's yeah, you're right. You can never be a hero, blah, 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 blah. And then,
Yeah.
but I think it's the second or the third episode. And they've done their full world building, the plot is going on, and then at the end of that episode, Midoriya is on the ground crying, and All Might walks up to him and he's like, "Yo, bro, I'm sorry, you can become a hero, and I'm gonna help you do that because I was like you, I didn't have a quirk either." Boom, and I'm like, "Oh shit, I'm in now." I get the thing. I'm here. So just like what you were saying, Demetrius, like you said, if you didn't like the first 12 issues and you're not in the Arlong Park, just hold on to your seat. You're going to get in it. And I felt that when I watched My Hero, because at first I was like, okay, this is cool, but this is just your run-of-the-mill hero story. I know how this is going to go. And then when All Might dropped that bomb at the end of episode 2 or 3, I can't remember right now, I was like, damn, okay, so that's how this is about to go. So now I'm in. So just to wrap up on my end, in general, I'm a huge fan of storytelling. I'm a huge fan of cinema. And my hat goes off to the creators of the series, the showrunners, Oda, saying like everybody on team One Piece. It was not just an amazing adaptation, it was an amazing body of work. It was, and you can tell that they did it with love and with reverence for the people that matter. Like I said, the people that have been holding down this anime, this manga for years, like Demetrius. I know y'all feel validated, and like I said, I'm happy to be a part of the crew now. So I'm gonna definitely next year on MomoCon, I'm gonna get my face paint ready because you know I'm going as Buggy. I got you.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get
Okay,
the face paint
I'm
and the
doing
big red
Luffy
nose
then.
ready.
That's it then. I'm doing Luffy then.
Got to.
So there it is.
Hey,
I might gotta go get my toes done and stuff.
So
I might gotta get them straight up. When you play sports and stuff, your feet don't always be looking good when you get older. They be jacked up.
I'm telling you, bro. Tell me about it.
But yeah,
but
man. So D,
go ahead.
I gotta ask you,
Okay.
just because me and Chad had like our little closing out for a fan, a true fan who's stuck with it, who's been with it from the beginning since you've been watching anime. What is your overall take of this, and what do you hope to expect if it keeps going? If there's more seasons to come after season 2?
So one, they've already confirmed that they confirmed that they're gonna have more than 2 seasons, so it's gonna be up to maybe 6 right now. Like I think that's where they're like everybody's small the news for it. That's what he said. So I hope that they bring the same energy they brought to season 1 onward and keep that dedication and storytelling and keep Oda involved.
Okay.
Because that's where the success is. I think the fact that Oda was involved, the fact that he worked really hard to put this out and made sure that he was happy with it before putting it out is something that is important. And as a longtime fan, Sona has been watching this. Really, I think I started watching this originally when I was 13. And it's a 4-kid dub, by the way. So I was in it. I was with it with a 4-kid dub, and that's hard to say because nobody's with it when there's a 4-kid dub with that. But I was like, the rap didn't bother me. I was like, I was in it. When they were talking about Zoro Zolo, I was there. I was with it. And back in the days and going through the years and having people not give the appreciation to the show or even give it a chance, and stuff like that. And now people are getting into it, which, by the way, I like that. Even whenever you join One Piece, whenever you give it a chance, whenever you start watching it and you get into it, that's your own journey. I had my moment where I wasn't a part of it, and now I'm like, it's a big thing. I welcome both of you guys. You guys are part of the crew. The second Nami put the hat on him and you guys were like, let's go, that's that moment. That's that moment. Every Straw Hat, every person who's a fan of the One Piece who claimed themselves to be part of the Straw Hat crew by adjacent, that's when we gave Luffy the title of just being the GOAT. That was it. That was that moment where we're just like, yeah, Luffy's the GOAT. You can't touch him. The writing's good. So I hope that, anybody who's picking up the live action now out in 2023, if they go and they read the manga and the anime and they become even more enamored with the wackiness and the characters that come and the arcs and the villains. Like the most recent arc in the anime just ended, it's the Wano arc, and that is one of my favorite arcs of the newer generation because it just has so much deep storytelling, and it gives a lot of these nods that we see early in One Piece. A lot of these things from the plight of oppression and all these things, slavery, all stuff, it still plays a part in different ways and different aspects. And not only those things, but the characters are written very well to where you care about them in a short period of time. Like in the anime, in the manga, they're in the buggy arc, there's a dog that they showed at the end of the thing. They showed the little dog barking when they're leaving. He has an entire arc that like all people that are fans of One Piece know, and they're like, man, that arc made you cry because it was a dog. And I'm gonna say this because I know you guys I think you've already seen the buggy arc anyway, but I'm gonna say this, and I'm spoiler for anybody who hasn't seen it, but the dog is waiting for his owner to come back. That's not going to come back. He's watching over the shop for his owner that won't come back.
Yeah,
and
I remember that.
So it's a Futurama.
Yeah.
God.
So
you
the
talking
animal,
about some shit that'll make a grown man cry, boy.
So even there are moments of animals that will get you in your feelings. There's moments of different characters. Like you had a Nami where her backstory was just emotional, and Sanji's were that way. And sorry, my cat's right here. And all of hi, buddy. And lost my train of thought. Thank you, buddy. But cool.
You said he was gonna get in the episode though.
He was part of it. And these moments that Oda does, he makes these small characters have these long-lasting moments to where you feel you go through a span of emotion of happiness to like anger at certain characters like villains and stuff like that, to being sad and then your feelings about people like Nami and the villagers, or Sanji and his dad like figure, or Shanks getting his arm just bit off and whatever, and that happening and that being Luffy's part of his backstory. These characters are written very well with their own way of looking at the world, with their own sense of freedom, and I love that. A lot of people, everybody has a favorite character. There's not too many One Piece characters that people just don't like, because all of them are fleshed out in their own ways. Like Oda has a fun way of just telling a story, but also telling and giving these characters life in their own like villages, like Usopp's village. Like all the villagers in there, after a while, in the beginning, they were like they cared about Usopp saying the pirates were coming, and then he got older and they stopped caring about it, and they were like, and that was the whole thing. And then even in the anime, in that arc, they actually miss him doing that when he leaves. It becomes something that they're so used to that when he doesn't do it, they're like, where's he at? I'm used to hearing the villagers are coming every day. Where's Usopp? And so that's the writing is just amazing. And I hope people who like writing, I hope people like world building, I hope people like character designs and even the wackiness and cartooniness of the show. Because the One Piece characters have body types all around the spectrum. You have your characters that are tall, 20 feet tall, and characters that are like. And the one thing I will say is the live action did a good job of setting up for future seasons. They revealed Garp being his grandfather earlier than they did ever. They revealed Baroque works way before they got revealed. They had certain songs playing, like you heard the "We Are" song playing for the opening one during when they're doing their whole pirate salute, like what their dreams were.
Yeah, I like that too. By the way, that was a great moment.
that was cool.
Good editing.
So
I like that.
And the cheese smoker, which he was over the top, obviously. And they talked about Nolan the liar, which is a big thing for so far in the future. But they set it up now, and I was so happy about those moments. And that's what I like, the attention to detail and attention to the fans, but also leaving a mysticism for people who don't know anything. If I don't say anything about these things, you probably wouldn't have even thought that they were foreshadowing or anything like that. And that's the beautifulness of it. They respect the fans, but also at the end of the day, they understand new people are going to get in and they want to keep that mysticism that us fans grew up with. And I think that's something that I can talk about One Piece for another hour. Really, I could do it easily. So I'm gonna wrap it up a little bit and say I liked the thing that I liked about it and the subtle things that the thing that I liked about it was the characters they picked the actor they picked for all the characters, and I liked that they kept a lot of the things, the wackiness and stuff like that, like Garp throwing a cannonball at Luffy. That's straight wackiness. That is Garp. Even though they made Garp a little bit more cartoonish than I would have thought they would have done, I still liked it. Like when he destroyed his whole room, that was something I was like, Garp would probably do that. Like I've never seen him do it, but Garp might do that. Yeah. And I like that they kept the theme of good versus evil across the law, like good pirates, bad pirates, good Marines, bad Marines, and this in between. And they also kept the fact of like how the government plays with the civilians, how they make things and spend things. That was so good. But to end everything off, the only criticism I have is, like I said at the beginning, like Zoro not calling out it, not having that callback moment of him naming his move. Other than that, it was good. They gave me my battle axe scene. They gave me the Luffy crushing the sword in his hand thing. I was highly impressed. They gave me the Nami we're friends. Every beat moment they needed to have in there, they did it. They made sure that they kept it in there. And it hit his thing. I didn't expect those moments to hit like in the anime or the manga because I've seen the anime so many different times. Those moments they're good, but there's never going to be that first moment ever again of those moments. So I still felt it, and I was like, "Damn, I'm still with it. Let's go." I was up. I was with him, but at the end of the day, I'm okay with those moments. Those moments were well done. Nami did a phenomenal job when she did the "Help Me" scene. That was phenomenal. I know the actress, that was I watched an interview, the actress said that was like a scene that she was dreading for the entire season because she knew how important it was to the fans. And when in the trailer, when I saw in the trailer, I was like, oh, she crushed it. I didn't even need to see her voice clip. I was like, she crushed it. Because they put that little sprinkle in there. I was like, oh yeah, it's done. And then the let's go, and Usopp sitting there like this, Zoro with the sword, and it's all you talking to see. Man,
yes, bro.
Man, when I saw that like I told you, when I posted on Instagram all the comparisons, and you were like, "Is it good?" I'm like, if they got that theme down, hats off. They got it. They done it. And man, the emotional moments for days. And I love how they got the Shanks at the end where Mihawk shows up with the wanted poster. And he's like, "Hey, Luffy did it," and he's hyped about it. And like the same, he's like, "We're gonna drink." He's like, "You just drank last night." He's like, "We're celebrating. Let's
get toe up.
We drinking here." So I liked the back and forth between him and Mihawk. Like you knew they had a history, but they didn't really say too much. They had one line where it was like, "Oh, I don't want to fight you because you're half the man you used to be," And he was like, I can fight you with one hand behind my back. And then he
And
like,
then he laughed. I thought that was funny as hell.
Yeah, that was hilarious.
So to wrap it all up, I think this did a very good job of adaptation, better than other things like Death Note. And I'm not going to talk about that because I can have an hour about that motherfucking piece of shit. But yeah, they did a good adaptation, and it does exactly what it's supposed to do by bringing people in there. And ramble, I'm gonna end my ramble right there because I can keep it going. I can type myself back up. But I give this, if I'm giving it a rating, I give it a 9.5. It did it. It gives a 9.5. Easy. That's what I give. Like, I won't give it a 10 because there are a little bit of nitpicks that I have with it, which with everything you have nitpicks, so it is what it is. But I don't give too many 9.5s, but I give that a 9.5 easy. That was the easiest 9.5 I've ever given. To the fact of the matter that I rewatched it 2 more times, back to front. That should tell you how good it is. If I'm going to sit here and watch something back to front again after watching it already all the way through. That's my spiel. I'm gonna throw the mic to you guys because I'm gonna get hyped up again.
Yeah. Hey, can I just say one thing?
Yeah.
Before we wrap it up, can we just give Chad a hand
for
his first review with us?
Yeah, first review, man. You see how the magic happens around here.
Hey, man, I'm happy to be here.
For those of you out there who are regulars with watching our reviews, you know it's normally just me and Dmitri, and Chad was kind enough to give us some of his time and join us, which is something different every now and then. So we hope he can do a couple more of these with us down the line. But we want to give him his flowers. He did a great job.
He did great. He
fit right on in. Yeah, he did. So we didn't miss a beat. So
not everybody, at all.
We gotta clap it up for you, bro. We gotta clap it up for you. You did a great job. Great job.
Yeah, you did great, man. You came in here, you dropped all the knowledge in the world, dropped all the facts, dropped all the heat. Yeah. I didn't disagree with nothing you said.
He brought that little charm. He brought that Chad charm in here.
Right, he brought that Chad charm. Hey, if you'd have told me you didn't watch the one anime, I wouldn't have believed you. Came in here like you knew the stuff. Came in here like you've been a fan of it your entire life.
Hey, it's a pleasure, man. Thank you guys for having me, man. I've been hyped about this. Me and D specifically have been trying to put it together ever since I watched the first episode. So I'm hyped. I'm honored to be a part of this, guys, and I'm so glad I fit in. I'm definitely happy about that.
Yeah, man. D, as I always give you the honors, I'm gonna let you take us out, man. Show Chad how we do it, man.
All right, let me see if I can get this right. All right, it's time for the shameless promotional.
We got a little bit of it. It ain't a Chad shameless, but we knock it out the park, okay?
Right. If you want to view this lovely podcast and any podcast that we've had in the past and any in the future, you need to follow us on YouTube at the Square Roundtable Podcast, and you can subscribe underneath the video. You hit the notification bell on the right side. Right side, so you get notified of this video and future videos. Leave us a comment about how you felt about the live action adaptation versus the manga and the anime and stuff like that. What you liked, what you didn't like, what villains you thought were really cool, which ones you weren't really a fan of. And are you anticipating of season 2 and onward? And what do you expect? And if you're a new fan of One Piece, man, go down in the bottom of the description down below. Let me know. I'll be down there. I can talk to you about stuff because I know all the stuff. You ain't got to worry about spoilers on my half. I'll be handling this one specifically. This will be me. You also can follow us on, you can also view this on Rap Nerd on Tuesdays and Thursdays. You can also find this on fandomlim.com. You can follow us on our Instagram, our Twitter, and that pesky Facebook group that nobody wants to come in.
Just talk to us, man.
And with that, I think our shameless promotional is out. And to wrap it all up, if anybody has any final words of things to say between Marcus and Chad before I wrap this completely all the way out, you have anything last thing to say before you didn't get out?
Yes, just one more thing. And also, if you want to check out our latest review, it's up on the page on the YouTube. The one we did about Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. That's our most recent review that we just put out. So if you want to go check it out, talk to us about what you feel and what you thought about the film and what you think is going to happen, what's coming up. We just want to talk Spider-Man with it. So that'll be put in the description below. So you can click the link and, go straight to that video. But so anything, what you got, Chad? You got anything else for us?
Oh man, like always, I watch you guys show and all that, and I'm just like I said, I'm honored to be here, man. It's just dope, man. It's just dope to see y'all killing it, doing y'all thing. It definitely, I get choked up a little bit, you know what I'm saying? But no, for real, guys, thank you all for having me, man. Like I said, I hope we can do more of these in the future. And yeah, y'all go out there and subscribe, man. Subscribe to all of our socials, man. Subscribe to YouTube. We're doing some great stuff out here, man. You know how it is. Square Roundtable always giving y'all amazing content.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We
Yes,
got
sir.
some good stuff coming. Got some
No, we
big, got some good
stuff
things
sir.
coming for y'all. So
Yes,
stay
sir.
tuned, man.
Yeah, we cooking. We cooking out here. We chef like Sanji out here cooking.
Chefing like Sanji.
Yes,
sir.
man.
And with all that being said, I'm going to close this out with being your host, Demetrius.
Marcus.
And I'm Chad.
And we are out. Peace.